Welcome to English with Tony. Hi everyone. I want to welcome all of you to this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know you have many choices on YouTube, and you choosing to watch my video truly means a lot to me. Today, I want to share a very special story. This story is not just mine. I believe it will be the story for many of you watching. It's about a journey that changed my life, and I hope it will inspire you to change yours too. Before we dive into the story, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt like English is a big wall? A wall you keep trying to climb, but then you slide back down? Have you tried many ways, gone to many classes, bought many books, but English still seems far away and hard to learn? If your answer is yes, then you are in the right place. You know, English is not just a language. In our world today, it's like a key that can open many doors. Doors to a better job, doors to travel and explore the world, doors to understand more about other cultures and people, or simply doors to talk to new friends from all over this planet. But for many people, including me before, English was a big worry. It wasn't a key, it was a barrier. Something that made us feel frustrated, stuck, and sometimes even embarrassed. I remember that feeling very well. Just a few months ago, if someone asked me a simple question like, "How are you?" I had to take a moment to think about how to answer. I knew the single words, but when I had to put them together to make a full sentence, everything seemed to disappear. I felt completely lost in the English world. Every conversation in English made me nervous, afraid I would say something wrong, afraid people wouldn't understand me. Can you see yourself in that? Have you ever felt like that? If so, I understand how you feel. I was in the exact same place you are now. Today, I will share with you exactly how I learned English in just a few months. And when I say just a few months, I really mean it. It was a fast, effective process, and most importantly, it didn't ask me to spend lots of money on expensive classes. It also didn't ask me to go to an English-speaking country to practice. And the best part is, it didn't waste my time on useless methods you might have tried before. I know this might sound hard to believe. How can someone learn English so fast without much money or going abroad? You might be asking yourself that. But please believe me, it is totally possible. I am living proof of that. I am not someone who is especially good at languages. I don't have any special talent either. I am just a normal person like you, with a clear goal and the right method. And that method, I will share step by step in this video. Please don't see this as just my story. See this as your story. A story about how you can overcome all the difficulties with English. A story about how you can gain confidence when communicating. Of course, no one starts their English learning journey with full motivation and joy right from the beginning. For me, everything started with a moment that was not happy at all. A moment of big failure. An event that changed my life and made me look at everything again. That was the time I realized that English was not a choice. It was something I had to have. And that's when my journey truly began. A journey that was not easy, but it brought results I never dared to dream of. So, if you are ready to change the way you learn English, if you are ready to take the time to listen to my whole journey, step by step, I promise that you will get a clear path to improve your English. You will no longer feel lost or stuck. You will know exactly what you need to do. Get ready, because we are going back to my starting point. A beginning that was not comfortable, but it was the seed for everything that came after. Come with me as we go back in time, to the moment everything changed. Are you ready? Let's begin. Part 1. The Life-Changing Catalyst. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Every big change in life usually starts with something. For me, it was a moment that I will never forget. It was a big failure, but it also became the start of everything good that followed. My big dream and hard work. I always had a big dream. I wanted to work for a company that was known all over the world. My dream job was to be a software engineer at a big tech company. Maybe like a big company, that makes phones or computer programs. I really loved coding. I was good at it. I spent many hours, day and night, learning and working hard. I wanted to be the best at what I did. I thought, if I am good at my job, that's all I need. I worked for years to make this dream come true. I learned new things every day. I solved difficult problems. I felt ready for my big chance. A big chance and a big problem. Finally, after all that hard work, my chance came. I saw a job opening at a huge company in the US. It was like my dream job was calling my name. I sent in my application. I waited, and then, one day, I got an email. It said, "Congratulations, you are selected for an interview." Oh my goodness, I was so excited. I jumped up and down. I started thinking about my new life. I saw myself living in a new country, maybe a big city. I would earn a big salary, more money than I ever thought possible. I would work with the best people in my field. Everything felt so perfect. This was it. This was my moment. But then, the interview happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. My heart was beating fast. I opened Zoom. On the screen, there were 3 people. They were the interviewers, and they were all native English speakers. They started talking, and I felt like someone had pressed the fast-forward button on their voices. They spoke so quickly. I tried to listen, but it was like they were speaking a different language. I could not understand anything they asked me. My mind just went blank. Then, they asked the first question. One of them smiled and said, "Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience in software development?" Oh no! I felt a wave of panic. My hands felt cold. My mind started rushing. I knew the answer in my head. I knew everything about myself and my work. But the words, the English words, they just did not come out. My mouth felt dry. My tongue felt heavy. I tried to speak. "Oh yes, I am. Software? I do coding. Many projects, good. I am very good." That's all I could say. It was a disaster. They looked at me. The silence in the room felt very long. It felt like a knife in my stomach. They asked another question, but I still could not answer. I felt so small, so lost. In the end, one of them smiled sadly and said, "All right, thank you for your time." I knew what that meant. It was clear. I had failed. I did not get the job. And it wasn't because I wasn't good enough at coding. It wasn't because I didn't know about software. It was because I could not speak English. The big lesson and my awakening. That day, something changed inside me. I finally understood the power of English. It was not just a school subject. It was not just words in a book. It was the key to my dream. And right now, I did not have that key. My dream job, my new life. It was all locked away. I felt so many bad emotions. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. I felt angry at myself. For many years, I told myself, I don't need English. I'll just be good at my job, and that will be enough. I was wrong. So wrong. Now, I saw the hard truth. Without English, I was invisible. No matter how good I was at coding, if I couldn't talk about it, if I couldn't share my ideas, if I couldn't understand others, I couldn't reach my biggest goals. That night, I didn't sleep much. I thought about everything. And then, I made a very important decision. A decision that changed everything for me. I decided I would learn English. And I would learn it fast. I would not let this happen to me again. This was my beginning. This was my catalyst, and this is where my journey truly starts. Part 2. Breaking away from old methods. So, I was at a low point. The dream job was gone, and the reason was clear. My English. I knew I had to learn, and learn fast. But how? This was the big question in my mind. The mistake many people make, and I made it too. When people decide to start learning English, what's the first thing they often do? Think about it for a moment. Maybe you've done this yourself. Yes, you're probably right. Most people do one main thing first. They pay for expensive classes. They think, if I spend a lot of money, I will surely learn quickly. They look for big schools, famous teachers, or popular online courses. And I totally understand why. It seems like the most normal and correct thing to do, doesn't it? We often believe, a good teacher will guide me. A good book will teach me everything. But for me, this time, paying for expensive classes was not the way I went. And I want to tell you why. It's because I had already tried that path before. And to be completely honest with you, it did not work for me. My unsuccessful time with old-style classes. Let me tell you about something that happened about a year before my big job interview. I was already trying to learn English back then. I found an online English class that looked good. It cost a fair amount of money, but I told myself, this is it. This will finally help me speak English. But what was the class like? The way they taught was very old-fashioned. The teacher made us memorize long lists of new words. Every day, it was like, learn these 15 words by tomorrow. Then, we had to do many grammar exercises. We filled in blanks, chose the right words, and learned lots of boring rules about how English sentences are built. We sat there, trying to remember things that felt very complicated and not fun at all. I spent 3 whole months doing this. Every week, I went to my online class. Every single day, I did my homework. I felt like I was working very hard. I was really trying my best to learn. But then, after those 3 months were over, I tried to have a simple talk. Just a basic conversation with someone. And what happened? I still couldn't speak. I knew many words. I knew some grammar rules. But when it was time to open my mouth and say something, the words just wouldn't come out. I froze. I felt the same panic, the same feeling of being stuck. It was like all those hours of work and all that money had been for nothing. I was back to zero. My clear conclusion and what I really needed. So, after that bad experience, I learned a very important lesson. For me, expensive classes were not the answer. They didn't help me speak English in real life. They taught me about English, but they didn't teach me how to use English in a real conversation. This time, after the big job interview failure, I knew I needed something truly different. I had to learn English fast. I couldn't afford to waste any more time or any more money on things that simply didn't work for me. I needed something that was practical, something that would help me speak naturally, without thinking too much. I needed a system that worked in real life, not just in a classroom or from a textbook, but when I met new people, when I wanted to share my ideas, when I needed to understand what others were saying to me. I needed something that would help my brain connect words and ideas quickly. The birth of my method. And that's exactly when I started to think in a new way. I stopped looking for famous teachers or big schools. I started looking for a way that was simple, clear, and truly effective for me. And that's when I began to create my few-month method. It was a completely new way of learning for me, built on what I had learned from my past failures and what I now knew I truly needed. It was a step-by-step plan that I followed every single day without fail. This method is what completely changed everything for me. It helped me go from feeling totally lost and unable to speak, to speaking English with real confidence in just a short amount of time. And I'm so excited to share it with you now, step by step, in the next part of this video. So, get ready to learn the exact system I use to finally speak English and make my dream come true. Part 3. Phase 1. Building the foundation. Alright, so I had decided to learn English fast, and I knew expensive classes weren't the answer for me. I needed a new way. This is where phase 1 of my method began. It was all about building a strong base, a solid foundation for everything else. The biggest mistake beginners make. And I made it too. Before I tell you what I did, let's talk about a very common mistake. It's something almost every beginner does, and I did it too for a long time. Many people think, I need more words. If I learn 1,000 new words, then I will speak English perfectly. I thought the same thing. I believed that if my vocabulary was big enough, fluency would just happen. But here's the truth. I already knew hundreds of English words. Simple words like hello, thank you, water, eat, go. You probably know many words too, but even with those hundreds of words, I still couldn't speak a full sentence easily. I couldn't have a simple conversation. So, just knowing more words wasn't enough. My groundbreaking approach, using what I already knew. Because of this, I decided to do something different. For the first 15 days of my new method, I made a rule. I did not study any new words. Yes, you heard that right. No new words for 15 days. Instead, I did something much more powerful. I focused on learning how to use the words I already knew. It was like having a toolbox full of tools, but I didn't know how to use them together to build something. My goal was to learn how to use my existing tools to build simple sentences. Here's exactly what I did, step by step. Step 1. Creating a survival sentence list. First, I sat down and thought, what do I actually need to say every day in English? Not difficult things, just simple, useful sentences for real life. I wrote down 50 simple sentences that I would need. For example, hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand. These were sentences for everyday situations. Then, every single morning, I read these 50 sentences out loud. Not just once, not just twice, but 10 times. I read them over and over. At first, my tongue felt slow and heavy. It felt strange to say these sentences. But after just 5 days, something amazing happened. These sentences became automatic. They just came out of my mouth without me having to think. It was like magic. Step 2. Speaking to myself in English daily. This next step was one of the most powerful things I did. It might sound a little strange, but it truly helped me. Whenever I was alone, I started speaking English to myself. Yes, I talked to myself. No one could hear me, so I wasn't embarrassed. This was my own private English classroom. For example, when I was in the shower, I would say, I am taking a shower. The water is hot. I feel relaxed. When I made breakfast, I would say, I am making eggs. I like eggs. They are easy to cook. At first, I felt a little stupid doing this. It felt weird. But then I realized, this was my chance to practice without anyone judging me. It was safe. And in just 1 week, my brain started to do something incredible. It started thinking in English. I wasn't translating from my first language anymore. The English words just came directly to my mind. Step 3. Practicing 5 sentences a day with a twist. This last technique was also very important for my speaking and pronunciation. Every day, I chose 5 sentences from movies, YouTube videos, or real conversations I heard. But I didn't just read them. Here's the twist. I copied them exactly. I listened very carefully to how the native speaker said the sentence. Then, I repeated it 10 times, trying to match their emotion, their speed, and their pronunciation perfectly. For example, if I heard someone in a movie say, "I can't believe it," I would repeat, "I can't believe it," many times, trying to sound exactly like them. If they said it fast, I said it fast. If they sounded surprised, I tried to sound surprised. This helped me a lot to fix my accent and to sound natural. It taught me the music of English, not just the words. Results after 15 days. By the end of those first 15 days, something truly amazing had changed inside me. I noticed that I stopped translating in my head. When I wanted to say something simple, the English words just came out. I could say basic sentences without thinking at all. It felt much easier. And because of this, I felt more confident. I wasn't afraid to open my mouth anymore for simple things. This was a huge step for me. So, let's summarize what I've told until now. My English journey began with a failed job interview, showing me how crucial the language was. I quickly left old, ineffective learning methods behind for a new system. I started with basic phrases and speaking to myself, then moved to real practice with question-answer, shadowing, and story methods to think in English. In the next and final part, we will explore the final steps to fluency. If my story inspired you today, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be here with you every step of the way on your English journey.